Another fire destroys major store in Lae. A policy to address the needs of people living with disability. And fans gear up for the first State of Origin match.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Wednesday's news. Lae's court store has been destroyed by fire. Firefighters with old equipment struggled to put out the blaze in Lae City this morning. Firemen arrived at the scene about 30 minutes after the flames had spread from the rear and tried to save the building. Lae's fire service still lacks the capacity to handle industrial fires. EMTV's Bethany Harriman has this report.
This fire began just after 8 a.m. this morning. Within 30 minutes, the building destroyed. This is the second fire that has happened in just 6 days. On Thursday, Brian Bell Home Center burnt down. Millions of kina worth of properties destroyed in just 6 days. Police were called onto the scene to stop possible looting. The fire is understood to have started at the rear part of the court's building and spread. Initially, the flames were small, but within minutes it grew to engulf the whole building. Firemen arrived about 30 minutes after the blaze and struggled with old equipment to put out the flames. On Thursday, firefighters were called to stop the Brian Bell Home Center fire and save 2 banks in Lae's top town. Firefighters didn't save the Brian Bell store, but the BSP and Westpac Bank buildings were saved. This is now the 15th fire in the last 17 months. These Lae fires exposes Papua New Guinea's limited capabilities to handle fire emergencies. These firemen behind me are using the old truck. They're doing the best they can. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, today was a significant day for people living with disabilities in Papua New Guinea. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was present for the launch of the National Policy on Disabilities, which communicates the issues faced by people with disabilities. The policy is themed, Remove Barriers, Make Rights Real.
The Parliament State Function Room was host to special members of the community, people with disabilities, who turned out to witness the launch of the National Policy on Disabilities. The speeches were also translated by a sign interpreter. Secretary for the Department of Community Development, Anna Solomon, said the policy enables a coordinated action to remove barriers of those citizens living with disabilities.
Let's start breaking the barriers. They see us as barriers sometimes, not just they themselves, but many of us in the way we think, in our attitudes. So they'd like us to help them break those barriers and start making their rights real. The result of this policy is from all their talks, all their thinking that we have put together, and where government can come in and where other partners can come in to support.
Members of Parliament were present, including the Minister responsible, Delilah Gore. She acknowledged the vital support from partners like the Australian government, the Japanese International Cooperation Agency and others.
The policy was finalized on the basis of an extensive review of the 29 National Disability Policy.
Some of the strategies captured in the policy include the backing of non-discrimination, communal care and support practices, and equal support for all classes of disabilities. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill emphasized that the communication of these policies must be amplified for effectiveness. He also talked about the possibility of having a pension system for persons with disabilities and the elderly.
I want to again stress that you have a government that is listening. And one of the things that we have been pushing, and I've been pushing as we got into government, is trying to make pension system available for the elderly and, of course, the disabled and those who are not able to look after themselves.
The Prime Minister then launched a policy which is set to steer the course to better manage the issues faced by these special members of the community. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
More than 300 matured marijuana plants were uprooted behind the home of a man at Gamar village near Jiwaka. Mount Hagen Mobile Squad members, led by Sergeant Patrick Waldo, discovered the drugs growing there last Friday during a highway patrol. With the assistance from Minj Police, the drugs were uprooted and taken to the Minj Police Station. Mount Hagen Police say the suspect fled when police invaded his home to remove the illegal plants. Minj Police have identified the suspect, but he is still on the run. They have appealed to the community to help hand over the suspect. The marijuana plants are still kept at the Minj Police Station. They will be destroyed later this week. Customs Commissioner Ray Paul has confirmed that PNG Border Security lacks adequate resources and manpower to detect and manage crimes. Today they launched and commissioned a first ever border technology called the Thermo Scientific First Defender RM. It will be used for testing non-contact, non-destructive chemicals and for explosives identification.
After nearly 40 years of independence, PNG Customs achieved a milestone today in line with the modernization program. First Defender is a technology or instrument which can be used to obtain accurate chemical identification in mere seconds. More than 2,000 different chemicals, which also include steroids, cocaine, drugs and explosives, can be identified. This has replaced the use of laboratories, where in the past it took more than a week to detect or test chemicals to determine whether they were harmful to human beings or not. Apart from Australia and New Zealand, PNG is one of the first island nations to use the First Defender.
Now I believe with the use of this, we can be able now to say, okay, you bring in this material, if we have issues with them, and we'll test it and see. And if it proves to be correct, then so, it's correct. But if it's not, they have to answer some good questions from customs.
Ray Paul says that even though PNG border security is up to international standard, it lacks adequate resources and manpower. Currently, there are approximately 400 men and women working for PNG Customs. He highlighted that there is no fencing at the Wutung border in Sandaun Province through to Daru in Western Province. This has seen the rise of transnational crime at the border. There are also massive movements of contraband products like arms or weapons, cigarettes and cargoes, both during the day and at night time. Although these activities are taking place on land, stories of sea pirating activities have reached them, but they haven't caught one yet. Paul says this is a concern for PNG Customs, the government and partners like the law enforcement agencies.
And I believe in time, successive government, current government is doing a good thing also for the border. We can be able to at least have some infrastructure that will help us monitor who's coming in and who's going out.
Although handy, it cost 165,000 kina to buy just one First Defender. 5 have already been purchased and will be stationed at the Wutung border, Jackson's International Airport, Boroko Post Office, with the other 2 in Port Moresby and Lae. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Sections of the road between Kokopo and Rabaul Town continue to deteriorate due to heavy downpour. During bad weather, the road between Ruburua and Raluana village is blocked off with debris caused by flooding. Other parts of the province also share similar experiences with their roads that haven't been maintained over the last 10 years. MTV's Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
For commuters traveling between Kokopo and Rabaul, the ride is not always comfortable. This is what's left from continuous heavy downpour last week and the week before in East Baton Province. Heavy torrential rains flushed debris and sealed downhill onto the road between Raluana and Raburua village, just a few kilometers outside of Kokopo town. The silt that remained after the rain continued to accumulate at the roadside, creating dust pollution and narrowing the road. This has become a worry for travelers using the road between Kokopo and Rabaul.
I think we need a big improvement on this road. Every time you may fix them. Rain still every rain causing flood na. It's causing a lot of money to do maintenance roads.
Road has remained an important infrastructure for the East New Britain people to be used for swift evacuation in times of disaster. The East New Britain people on numerous occasions have raised concerns to the provincial government over the steady deterioration of the roads, not only between Kokopo and Rabaul, but other areas in the province.
Because at the moment, you may not have escape route. All the road in Bagrap, you know, at way by Blagos was a tsunami or any disaster, anything that might be apart from tsunami come up. People are not got escape route, and we need the funding.
While efforts have been put into upgrading the Kokopo-Rabaul road to make it usable, it hasn't helped in any big way. If it rains again tonight, they will have to start over again tomorrow. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The counting for Pomio by-election has remained calm and orderly as it went through its fourth day of counting. Leading after the 11th progressive count as of 3 p.m. this afternoon is former Pomio MP Francis Koimandria on 1,690 votes. Followed after is independent candidate Elias Kapavore on 1,035 votes. And Levi S. Orong from the National Alliance Party is on third place with 888 votes. Two ballot boxes have been disputed yesterday by scrutineers and have been excluded from the counting. 11 boxes have been counted since Sunday, with 23 more to be counted over the next 7 days. Ahead in the news, the Games Baton tours Morobe, a first for women in the police band, and pre-Games police operations launched. I'll be back with all the details. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. The All-Search Pacific Games Baton Relay travelled to the Momasa region earlier this week, arriving in Nadzab before travelling by helicopter out of town to villages along the Okuk Highway. The relay consisted of school visits and traditional Sing Sing performances before returning to Lae.
The All-Search Baton Relay flew into Nadzab Airport in Morobe Province and was met by a number of Air Niugini staff who took the opportunity to pass the baton between them. Then it was straight to an awaiting helicopter that would take the baton and the team to waiting convoy who were about 60 miles out of town on the Okuk Highway, preparing for the drive into Lae. Landing on the roadside, the baton was presented to the Daki Mau president of the Provincial Executive Council. Then the convoy started on its journey, with a collection of vehicles, tractors, traditional Sing Sing groups and trucks driving down the highway. The first stop was at the Noah Primary School. A group of men on horseback rode in, traditional dancers filled the entranceway and led the baton into the school grounds. There it was passed to the Huon Gulf District MP Ross Seimu, who on a horseback accepted the baton. The next stop was at the PNG Biomass, where they gave their support to Team PNG. Throughout the highway journey, all the schools became involved and students lined the streets to see and touch the baton. Plus, many had their cheers for Team PNG. Let's see some of the action. Local MP Ross Seimu made sure all the kids had their chance as he walked the lines of the many school students and local residents. The Nadzab market brought thousands out for their chance to see and hold the baton. Traditional dance groups met the baton relay team on the road as celebrations continued, thanks to the Great Awareness campaign throughout the two districts. The All-Search Baton Relay continues.
Female police officers are now playing music alongside their male counterparts. Policemen have been at the forefront of the Constabulary's Pipes and Drums band, but the trend is now shifting, involving women. The police hierarchy wants more women to be part of the police band.
Women in the police force are given fair opportunity to play music alongside their male counterparts. Despite being on the front line to curb law and order, women in the constabulary are playing tunes no woman in the constabulary did 4 decades ago. Since independence in 1975, male officers dominate the band. However, 40 years now, an increasing number of women are joining the police force, some of them ending up playing music. The input these female musicians put in to harmonize the sound of the rumbling drums, hexagons and trombones has convinced a senior officer who called for more women to be part of the police band.
It was some 3 years ago or 5 years ago when a woman came to be part of the police band, and I'll encourage more of our women outside who are inspiring to be a police officers. There's one area that you can go to is play music, or join the constabulary band.
The band remains one of the outstanding units within the constabulary, but they need new instruments so they can recruit additional band members. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
High safety standards and zero tolerance on littering will be emphasized during the pre-games police operations in the weeks leading up to the 2015 Pacific Games in July. This was emphasized by hosting Governor Powis Parkup during the launch of the police operations in Port Moresby this morning. Parkup said security is a concern for the visiting Pacific Islanders and challenged all police officers to increase community policing in their respective areas of operations.
The police operations were launched after a police parade consisting of 2 companies made up of 10 squads marched beginning from Carey Street, past a line of shops in 4 Mile, onto Engau Drive and to the parade ground, the front of the Boroko police station. There, the parade received parade host and NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer, assisting Acting Commissioner for NCD and Central Command Jerry Frank, and receiving officer Governor Powis Parkup. All 3 were given the general salute. After inspecting the parade, Governor Parkup emphasized the importance of the July Games. He said it will be an opportunity for PNG to show the world that it has matured in the last 40 years. Over 1,100 police officers will be involved in the pre-operations. This figure excludes the additional platoons that will be provided by the 2 sister disciplinary forces. Governor Parkup is confident the police officers will perform their duties accordingly and asked all citizens to assist in the preparations for the games. He said though it is a sports event, there are economic and social benefits that PNG can gain from the event.
Time will give you the opportunity to show a better image, better picture, convince the world that we are changing, we must seize it.
But the challenge now rests on the shoulders of these officers. Apart from their normal community policing, they will be in charge of the crowd control and traffic diversion of vehicles.
It's also involved in the Special Services Division, the dog unit, and all the other units, public safety, CID, prosecution, traffic, the band, and every unit that is within the command.
This operation is predicted to be one of the most challenging for the constabulary. The pre-games launch is the first phase of the security operations. A proper operation will be launched nearing the games opening. Once the games operations are concluded, the Office of the Governor will be presenting officers awards on their involvements in providing security in the days leading up to the games and during the games. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Smugglers of betel nuts into Port Moresby have been warned by police to run their illegal businesses at their own risk. NCD Governor Powis Parkup has found his support behind police in making sure the city is clean and welcoming for international visitors. Betel nut traders from Kairuku and Mekeo constituencies have been told to sell their betel nut at Brown River instead of coming to Port Moresby.
Since the ban of betel nut in Port Moresby in late 2013, people have been smuggling the nut through the sea, using outboard dinghies and making huge profits. NCD Police have launched its early operations in preparation for the 2015 Pacific Games today with the aim of making the city clean and ready for the visitors. At the launch, NCD Governor Powes Pakop requested city residents to take responsibility and minimize petty crimes.
We must present a city that is clean, it's healthy, and it's safe. And simple goal for these Pacific Games.
In a recent interview, NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer warned betel nut smugglers and illegal liquor operators in settlements to run their illegal business at their own risk.
My message to them is, if you know you don't have a proper trading license, and if you're trading by a fake license, stop it. Do not continue, because you will be, at the end, losing money and losing business. There are other ways to do business.
11 days ago, Ascopina Limited, one of the authorized betel nut buyers, started buying betel nut bags at Brown River along Iritano Highway. The Kairuku, Mekio and the Gulf people are encouraged to sell at that location and refrain from bringing them into the city. Last Friday, confiscated bags were set on fire. On Monday, over 300 betel nut bags and mustaches were confiscated in a dawn raid at Gabi village and disposed in open sea. With 6 more weeks remaining before the big game kicks off, authorities want city roads and footpaths free from betel nut stains. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea believes that relations with Greece, a member of the European Union, can be further strengthened. Governor-General Sir Michael Ogyeo made the remarks at the presentation of credentials from the Ambassador-designate of the Hellenic Republic of Greece to Papua New Guinea. MTV's Deli Waigeno with the details.
The Government House in Port Moresby was today visited by the Ambassador-designate of the Hellenic Republic of Greece to Papua New Guinea. His Excellency Mr. Haris Daforanos inspected the assembled Guard of Honor before the national anthems of both countries were played. Indoors, Mr. Daforanos presented his letter of credence by which the President of the Hellenic Republic of Greece appointed him as ambassador to PNG. The new ambassador also acknowledged Kostas Konstantino, who has been the Greek honorary consul in PNG for a number of years. Mr. Daforanos said that Greece, as a seafaring nation, was interested in global trade of marine resources and transport. The Governor-General acknowledged that Greece, as a member of the European Union, provides valuable development support to the African, Caribbean and Pacific, or ACP countries. Sir Michael Ogyeo said PNG believes that relations with Greece can be further strengthened in the fields of trade, investment and tourism. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3675 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was fetching at $3.36, 0.4619 Australian dollars, 0.3266 euro, and 43.85 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed the day lower, while copper closed higher. And palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 191 points lower, the ASX closed at 4 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 15 points higher as well. Doctors in Lae scaled down due to unpaid entitlements and concerns raised in Parliament on the tuition fee-free policy. We'll bring you those stories and more when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. More than 30 doctors at Lae's Anga Hospital have scaled back their work since Monday due to unpaid benefits. The National Doctors Association covers such benefits as allowances, work contracts and other union awards. Angao Acting CEO Dr. Jim Abraham says the issue will be addressed, but with consultations from the Health Department.
According to the National Doctors Association, registered doctors are entitled to special allowances and other contract entitlements. The union awards are paid to doctors every 3 years. Angao doctors haven't been paid, though the payment date has lapsed a month ago. Doctors are still at work but aren't performing all their required duties. Some are now limiting their jobs to emergency and outpatient areas of the hospital. Doctors' clinic services have now been temporarily closed until the unpaid benefits matters are resolved. Engau Acting CEO Dr. Jim Abrams said 2 HR personnel will be sent in from Port Moresby to meet with doctors to resolve the issue. Dr. Abrams also said the management team is looking into some of the doctors' contracts and entitlements. The Engau doctors and management expect to meet with the 2 health department personnel come Friday. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced yesterday in Parliament that the agriculture sector of the country will transform in the coming years. This follows calls from the opposition to revive agriculture as the country's economic backbone.
For Agriculture and Livestock, Tommy Tomskol, he announced the agriculture sector of the country has seen a gradual drop in income generated from different crop sectors in the last 10 years. Following this, the opposition in their recent trip to major agriculture projects in East Sepik challenged the government to revive the agriculture sector.
In 1980 now, agriculture is giving more than 60 to 70% of income of Papua New Guinea. Today, as Misana Ployana Mitotok, Mitbla opposition leader come here today on record, agriculture now is squeezing around 31.6%. And we give him in Papua New Guinea, and we go down, close to finish now. This is a shame to this nation where you have been building agriculture.
Before and after independence, the country highly depended on agriculture. Cash crops like cocoa, oil palm and coffee were pumping millions into the economy. However, the recent oil and gas projects like the LNG project overshadowed the agriculture sector. For cocoa, the Port Borer disease crippled its market, affecting small to large-scale farmers and growers. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, in responding to the opposition's call, says access to capital was the main factor affecting the agriculture sector. He also announced the government's plan to revive agriculture.
The initiative that the agriculture minister and his team are doing, including the rice policy and other policies, Mr. Speaker, we are going to revolutionize agriculture in this country. Mr. Speaker, shortly we will be announcing initiatives in the agriculture industry that will revolutionize financing, Mr. Speaker, because the lack of access of capital is now lacking progress in the development of agricultural projects in the country.
The transformation of the agriculture sector means the new Agriculture Administration Adjustment Act will be in full swing once key performance indicators are identified to revive and change the country's agriculture sector. Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Students studying through the flexible open distance education are also covered by the government's tuition fee-free policy. That's from Education Minister Nick Kuman. He was responding to questions raised in Parliament this morning by Western Province Governor Ati Wabiro during question time.
Mr. Kuman was responding to questions raised by Western Province Governor Ati Wabiro on the tuition fee-free policy, if it is accommodating for students studying through the flexible open distance education.
Can the Minister inform this Honourable House and the people of Papua New Guinea if FOD also covers our government's TFF program, and whether they can enjoy, the students who are attending education through the FOD system can enjoy the same privileges that students in the formal education system are enjoying through this scheme.
However, the National Education Minister told Parliament TFF, being a government policy, also accommodated for 4 students across the 21 centres. Cost for one student is 100 kina per subject.
So far, since 2012, we paid over 13 million to, as part of the TFF to students who are continuing in education from grade 8, grade 10 into grade 12.
TFF policy also caters for inclusive education like those provided by the Catholic Church. Kalan services in 25 centers around the country.
And I'm proud to announce here that they we have reached an agreement that they will extend their service for another 5 years, and which will terminate from after the 5 years. So those are basic briefs that I can inform the Parliament.
As partners in development, the National Education Minister called on agency schools to comply by the TFF policy and stop charging project fees.
Continuously charge project fees to the tune of almost 1,500 per student attending high school and secondary schools in this country. That is totally unfair.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
International observers have congratulated Bougainvilleans for their commitment and enthusiasm during polling, which is often conducted in a challenging environment. The Bougainville election has been described as peaceful without any disruption. Observers also applauded the Bougainville Electoral Commission as counting continued into day 2.
International observers from Australia, European Union, Japan, New Zealand, United Kingdom and the United States of America commended the Bougainville Electoral Commission for allowing many eligible voters the opportunity to vote in line with Bougainville's electoral laws. It was noted the Commission and election officials showed commitment, resulting on effective and transparent man-at polling stations. Presence of trained candidate appointed scrutineers and domestic observers at polling stations further enhanced voting process integrity. Bougainville Police Service enabled a safe environment for the voters to exercise their right. The international observers also pointed out several features that could be improved on electoral roll and voting procedures. According to Bougainville's Acting Electoral Commissioner George Manu, observations will be brought to the authorities' attention. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
New South Wales Blues takes on Queensland in the Origin opener. That's in an hour's time. We'll give you a preview of the match in Trukai Sports after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Queensland Maroons will take on the New South Wales Blues in the first game of the 2015 State of Origin. The Maroons will go into the match with a similar lineup to the series in the last few years, while the Blues have a few changes to their lineup with a new halves pairing of Mitchell Pearce and Trent Hodgkinson.
Putting an end to the Maroons' dominance last year, the Blues won the State of Origin series after 8 years. Tonight, the Blues will have to prove that last year's win was not a fluke. The Maroons have an electrifying backline, boasting the majority of them named in the Kangaroos such as Greg Inglis, Darius Boyd and Justin Hodges. The Blues, on the other hand, have a mixture of youth and experience that will go into tonight's match. With Josh Dugan named at fullback and Daniel Tupou on the wing, the Blues will be no pushover. Papua New Guinea has a huge following of the State of Origin, with fans expressing their pick in Game 1 of Origin.
Because Nami win first 1, 2, 3 win the match now. First time, Michael Jennings put in the try now. Winning this game.
Just then me one ball straight. I'm putting on goal post there. So Marus will win.
Well, meeting him is the first game. I was Queensland by winning because just only 2 changes. That's all. Because all maintaining this same form, all by still winning it. Just thinking about it, so let me look in the lineup na me predict him. So yeah.
That team and Blues now, and miss a support team at that time.
Tonight's match will see the Blues without the experience of Greg Bird and Paul Gallen, which may prove to be a worry, but coach Laurie Daly has full confidence in the selected team to perform. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Origin fever is on in Lae City as well, just like any other part of the rugby league crazed country. Lae residents were spotted out in the rain with umbrellas and jerseys of the Australian state's colours. NTV's Colin Barrelai talked to the supporters today.
Despite Lay's wet weather, State of Origin fans came out to buy flags, t-shirts and umbrellas. Last year, New South Wales Blues won and Maroon supporters in Lay want a win in Game 1.
Plenty games also win, so miss out this game too. Game low today too, miss out Maroons for win.
At the main bus stop, two mates share a Blues umbrella.
I miss out on now Blues by win. Made me put the faith on Blues by win.
The PNV buses have flags. Both driver and crews are Maroons diehards. They can't wait for the day to end. Along the roads, the Common Boy Market shows symptoms of the Origin fever. A bicycle parked next to the stall with a Blues flag.
Maroon Samol, strong team.
Papua New Guinea has had a long tradition of following this annual football match that's played thousands of kilometers away. There have been tears, fights, bloodshed and death involved in PNG's colourful tradition of supporting the Queensland Maroons and New South Wales Blues. Colin Barilai, National EMTV Sports, Lay.
And you can catch all the action of Game 1 right here on EMTV at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Moving on, our shooters, Angus Donald, Daniel Wanma and Beatrice Gator in top form for the games. That's coming up next in True Guy Sports. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Good to have you back with True Guy Sports. PNG's shooting team has returned from their last offshore training camp with high hopes set for the Pacific Games come July. Both Angus Donald and Danny Wanma finished at the top of their respective events after 2 days of shotgun competition at Brisbane's Gun Club. Beatrice Gator also took out the top honours in the women's division.
Finishing 4th overall in the A grade and 1st place in the C grade high gun division respectively, Angus Donald now sits at PNG Shooting Team's highest ranked shooter. The 2005 Arafura Junior Shooting Champion continues his preparations alongside senior team members Danny Wanma, who also finished in 1st place in the 30 target single barrel and 2nd in the 50 target double barrel in the C grade division. Beatrice Gator took out the top spot in the women's division in the 2-day shooting competition at Brisbane's Gun Club. She is the only woman competing in the shotgun mixed and team event of the Games. She is joined by PNG's best pistol shooters in the likes of Mel Donnell and Nancy Gator, who have dominated the pistol events in previous years. Team PNG remain unbeaten in the pistol events but will be up against tough competition in the shotgun categories. Although the new range equipment is yet to arrive, the shooting team will focus their training on their respective events in Port Moresby. Scholar Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
Team lists for the overall Team PNG contingent are expected to be finalised by the 31st of May, 34 days away from the 2015 Pacific Games. Cricket, rugby sevens, weightlifting and netball are currently the only teams that have already announced their squads.
Currently, 38 days remain until the opening ceremony of the Pacific Games, and squad lists for the 28 sports that Papua New Guinea is taking part in have yet to be officially announced. The PNG Peppers netball side were among the first, the team naming an experienced and talented side. Head coach Unaisi Rokora stating that the team is fully focused.
It's important that we have a combination of youth and experience, and for the team to grow. For the young players, it's been very interesting. Right now, as you can see, the way they're training, you cannot see who the experienced are or the young ones because everyone has stepped up to the level.
In rugby union, the Puma Energy Pukpuk Sevens are set to face stiff competition from Fiji, who are sending a full-strength squad. However, assistant coach Douglas Geis has total faith in his team, who have maintained their form coming out from the Oceania Sevens in 2014.
Hong Kong, where the boys sort of exceeded expectations, but we're not resting our laurels there. We want to push on further, and we were aiming for, everyone's sort of, we've won bronze in the last 2 tournaments, the Pacific Games, but we're quietly confident we can give a push for the gold-silver playoff.
Hubert Cheraha, Butler Morris, Wesley Valley and David Airy highlight a squad with immense talent and potential. In cricket,
With the impending return of the PMMI Lewis from Samoa tomorrow and the PNG Cricket Men's A-team focused on retaining an unparalleled gold-winning record, the players announced will stop at nothing short of medals come the games. Chris Amini will headline a team boasting young talent and other players on the verge of stardom with the Barramundis, including Kipling Doriga, while Pauka Siake and Tanya Ruma lead a strong Lewis side. In weightlifting, the team has SP Award winners across the board with Stephen Curry, Fred Oala, Dick Atoa, and also PNG Games gold medal winner Eden Kambi.
We have 15 lifters. Our vision for the 15 lifters is between 17 and 20 gold medals. That is a vision, okay? In order to succeed, whether in sport or life, we have to have a vision.
More announcements are expected over the coming weeks, with the deadline for submissions already surpassed, and the country can expect nothing but the best athletes and sportmen and women to represent at the 2015 Pacific Games. Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
The POM Corporate Touch selection began on Sunday and will continue for the next 2 weeks. This is to select its squad for the National Touch Football Championship to be held in Kokopo in September. President John Bonnot said Corporate Touch Port Moresby will send 2 teams each for the respective divisions. The competition is into round 8. The association is expected to field 2 teams for the championship, including the elite team currently members of the Pacific Games, while the emerging players will make the second team. Well, that's where we end True Kai Sports tonight. The weather details coming up next. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region. Port Moresby to look forward to cloudy weather with rainy periods. In Momase, showers plus rain expected in all centres. In the New Guinea Islands, few showers expected in all centres except Lorengau, brief evening showers. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres rain periods. Recapping our main stories again tonight before we go. A fire destroys court store in Lae. Also, the Prime Minister launches disability policy in Parliament today. And fans gear up for the first State of Origin match tonight. Well, that's been National EMTV News tonight. I'm Tokana Hasavi saying go the Queensland Maroons. You take care and have a safe night.